Buenos tardes, señores and señoritas. Welcome to El Binge Thinker. That is the most Spanish that I can speak. My name is Jamil Raymond. It's a pleasure to have you here as always. I am here in Mexico City. Got in yesterday, enjoying it so far. I am sitting in Alameda Park in central Mexico City. A nice, quaint little city park. Very similar to what I was doing in Coogee Beach, just in amongst the people, talking a bit of shit, having a bit of fun. Oh man, it's been a bit of a hectic week since I last caught up with you in Coogee. Jesus Christ, how time has flown, or not at all. Man, what have I been up to? Got in yesterday. Let's start off with an interesting story. Had another Hawaii situation. Right, so we'll work backwards on this episode. I'm going to make this a quick one because I am on holiday, but I wanted to, of course, keep in touch with the good binge thinkers. God, I'm a little bit tired at the moment. It's warm. I've been walking around here all day, and so it's a good weather, but, you know, just walking around in the city heat, adjusting to the climate. Mexico City is actually got a bit of altitude as well, so you do get a little bit out of breath. So yeah, just start adjusting to all of that. I was walking the stairs up in my hostel and I was like, where is this anxiety coming from? It's actually just altitude. But man, here's a hot situation for you. Had another Hawaii incident. Got in yesterday, got in a day later than expected on the flight to Mexico City. It was quite a long haul now that I think about it. Melbourne to Sydney, Sydney to LA. And then LA to Mexico City. But taken American Airlines, booked Qantas again using my Qantas voucher that I got from the last incident. You may have heard of it. So flew in, Melbourne to Sydney, no issues. I'm going Sydney to LAX on American Airlines, in cattle class where I belong, in economy, definitely not shelling out for business class on my own. On the flight, nothing special. About halfway through, there is a crew member, potentially more. They didn't really give us the full story, but we had to have an emergency stopover in Honolulu because there was one, maybe potentially more crew members, potentially the captain even sick as well. They didn't really give us the final answer, but there's quite a bit of hubbub around the situation, very uncommon. So basically, emergency grounding in Honolulu. From what I can put together, there was a crew member that looked quite sick because I was at the back of the plane, again, in cattle class. And I could see there was a gentleman there who was rugged up and looked like he was it looks like he was about to be quite sick. It didn't look well at all. Something I've also noticed as well I don't know if it's just American Airlines or just the industry in general, but what happened to the attractive female flight attendant? They seem to have diversified. Not to say that there should just be hot women serving me on a plane, but I noticed that the crew, the flight attendants, are a bit older, you know, seasoned. They look like in their 40s and 50s. They look like they are career flight attendants, which you don't really see. Usually when you see a flight attendant, they are some pretty young thing that's just, you know, get into travel and wanderlust and get STDs in 7 different countries. But on American Airlines, all of them were older. Honestly, I think the youngest one I saw was probably in the early 40s. And one of these gentlemen, one of these fine older men, it was just not. He was not looking good, not feeling good from the sides of things. We did also encounter quite a bit of turbulence on the flight, and then initially one of the things that flew through the rumor mill was, someone got really sick because of turbulence. One of the flight crew got sick because of the turbulence. And I'm like, bro, if you are getting air sickness and you're getting turbulence sickness in an airplane, you're in the wrong job, man. What the fuck are you doing? So yeah, they never really gave us a final answer. I've heard different types of rumors. Apparently they were a crew member short, and then when more people got sick, there were more people that, you know, one more down, they legally could not fly. I heard that the captain got sick with a bunch of other people thanks to some certain types of food that they ate. Maybe had, some bad airplane food or something like that. But they certainly expected a lot more people to be sick or unwell than they let on. Because when we landed in Honolulu in Hawaii, there was like 4 ambulances and 5 gurneys, 5 of those little, those beds. And I'm like, I could see one dude that was sick. What are they expecting? Some sort of fucking massacre? Some sort of like, some tragedy to occur? It didn't seem like that at all. But alas, we got grounded. Didn't know what was going on. We got grounded at like fucking midnight as well. So that was pretty brutal. And I was sitting next to a gentleman. That wasn't necessarily, he wasn't big, but there was, this limited space. There was only 2 of us in the row, thankfully, and I always get an aisle seat where I can because it can stretch out a little bit to the left instead of being cramped to the window seat. But there was certainly some jostling for that middle arm seat, and a little bit of potential proximity to one's waist circumference. The guy sitting next to me also had brought on with him an entire sleeve of, was it salt and vinegar or cheese and onion Pringles? And that's never a good sign when you bring in an entire sleeve of Pringles on a trip with you. And then I did see him pick up another pack of chips during the flight as well. It was just a bit of a snack. So I was like, man, this man is quite a fan of potato. And no hate, I am quite the potato aficionado myself. But it doesn't really help the situation when you're probably struggling to sit in that airplane seat, Chief. But yes, nonetheless, got grounded in Honolulu. They couldn't tell us what was happening. They didn't know if we were just going to, we didn't know how long we were going to stay there. But lo and behold, we just had to stay there overnight. Got to pick a hotel that was covered by the airline, by American. Got to stay at the Honolulu Hilton Resort. So, in the scheme of things, pretty fucking good. I mean, I may have lost a day here in Mexico City, but I got a day in Honolulu Resort in the Hilton, and it was pretty schmick, right? Not as nice as when I went to Hawaii initially and was in the Four Seasons. Don't know what's going on there. You might hear some background noise, some background wildness. But beautiful hotel, resort, beachside, as expensive as a Hawaiian resort would be. Thankfully, I wasn't there for too long. But yeah, you just got to make the most of it. I got in at like 3 a.m., slept for like a few hours, woke up, thought my flight was initially going to be at 1. They didn't tell us when checkout was going to be, so I woke up kind of early. She only slept for about 5 hours. And then when I woke up, I asked what time my checkout was. Checkout wasn't till 1. And I was like, oh, that's when my flight is, so sweet, I don't have to do anything. And then I sort of made friends with a girl who was also traveling on the same flight, and I bumped into her just as I was packing up and getting ready to go, and she goes, oh, our flight's been delayed another 5 hours, so and our checkout's at 4 o'clock now, so we can spend more time in the resort. And I was like, oh, fucking shit, but also sweet, because all of my flights got bumped out and bumped forward. I'm glad it panned out that way, because whilst I was getting a taxi, or it was a taxi, yeah, back to the airport, or back from the airport to the hotel, I was trying to reorganize my flight plans, and I was trying to recover as much time as possible. So they're like, you can either get a direct flight that lands at 1 p.m. From LAX, or you can go from LAX to Dallas, and then Dallas to Mexico City, and you get there at 10 a.m. And I was like, I'm trying to recover as much time as I can from this missed day, so let me take the overnights and take those connections. Probably a bad idea on second thought. Thankfully, with the flight delays that occurred, I didn't have to do that, and I just ended up going on that direct flight. So spent most of my day at the resort catching up on newsletters, catching up on work that I needed to do. So now I can relax during the entire trip and not have to think about doing work every couple of days and putting out newsletters, which I'm really happy about. But yeah, but when we got to the hotel, got to the airport to check out, long lines to get a taxi to get to the airport. Oh man, there's something about just America that is just so for profit. And like the moment they've made their money from you, they don't give a fuck about you. Like, so I'm sure, you know, during the pre-sales process, you know, being a seller myself, you know, the service is always very nice. And they're, you know, hey sir, what can I do for you? Got any problems? Need anything I can help you with? Anything I can help you out with? Before the sale, before you've you know, they're greasing you up to get your money. And then once they've made their money off you, all of the post-sale service, post-transaction, once the money's made, it is literally done at the cheapest dollar possible to minimize as much cost from that process as possible. And you just get like, you go from, hey sir, how are you, to you get the fucking Shaniquas in. What do you mean? We don't care. You gotta stay in the line, sir. What are you doing? You know, we can't accommodate all of you at once, so we're gonna have to take some time, all right? And I'm just like, God damn. They really just do not give a fuck about you once the dollars are gone. But yeah, so we got, the flight was supposed to be at 1, then it got pushed out to 6:30. We got to the airport at around 4, just before 5 o'clock, because we left at 4:30 or 4, but it was ages to get a taxi, and it took a while to get to the airport. And just the planning around our diverted flight is so dog shit. So there was 280 of us on the flight, and all 280 of us were just lined up for like an hour and a half, trying to get our seats and our tickets and checked in and getting our bags, etc. And they were running so behind on that process because they just were so understaffed and could not cater for the extra volume of traffic, that it took us it took us to like an hour and a half to get through the line. And they had to push the flight out from 6:45 to 8:30 to accommodate everyone. And we were just like, Jesus fucking Christ. Thankfully, my connecting flight was you know, 5 hours. So like I could manage the delay, it's not a big deal. But it was actually kind of nice because befriended that girl and a couple of others, just other frustrated travelers. We're all just in this shared experience of fuck American Airlines and just sitting in the line, talking shit, complaining, getting to know each other. So it was nice. Like, you know, the time passed pretty well. And I got to know some people, got to make some connections. So it wasn't that bad. But yeah, it's so wild though. And was there anything left in that story? Yeah, no, I landed in Mexico City yesterday. We'll get to Mexico City and what I've been up to so far in a sec. But it's so funny, just the irony, the synchronicity of having another incident that involves Honolulu and Hawaii in less than 6 months. Isn't that crazy? I mean, what are the fucking chances, right? And you just got to appreciate that synchronicity. You've got to really appreciate what's happening, you know, how these things happen to you. And you just got to go with the flow, man. You just got to roll with it. And that's what I'm trying to do with this trip, is just slow the fuck down, take things as they come, because I've been so rushed and so driven for these last few months. And even in this last week between episodes, between Sydney to here, I was just balls to the wall of things I need to do and get work done and pack, and man, like I'm close to burnout yet again. 4 times in 3 years. Thankfully, I've recovered a little bit by being away, but this last week has just been me dragging myself through, trying to take things slow, but still having so much to do. So yeah, like just being in Mexico City at the moment, I haven't really made too many plans. I'm just sort of letting things happen to me. I've just been walking around yesterday and today, just taking the city in, man. Nothing in particular. Looking at the city square, just looking at the main sites, eating some food, just taking the world in, trying to be as slow, and yeah, just take my time and not feel like I have to be rushed and do everything, which is nice. Very early days, of course, but that's the intention for sure. Although tomorrow night, I'm going to go see the Lucha Libres, which are the Mexican wrestlers, which I think will be a lot of fun. And then Wednesday night, I'm going to salsa dancing. I figured it'd be cool. There's also a couple of cuties at the hostel that are keen to go, so I'm like, why the fuck not? I actually don't mind, and I don't mind a dance. I've got some rhythm, so why not just, you know, let it out. But so far, man, Mexico City, it's a cool place. It's interesting. You know, it is a second world Mexico's a second world country. Mexico City, big sprawling city, 7th biggest city in the world. Didn't know that. 10 million people here. Also didn't know that until I got here. So quite a big place, but it is, you know, it is a second world country. And, you know, whilst things are quite nice, they are just like every other second world country, right? There's pollution, bit dirty. There's the range of the rich to the poor. I wouldn't necessarily say it's dangerous here, but you probably do have to keep your head on a little bit of a swivel. You can't drink the water here. You have to just get filtered water. So I've been very vigilant about that since I've been here. Just drinking from filtered sources. What else is there? What's going on? Food is fantastic. Absolutely amazing. What they've got here, what I've realized is very similar to, like like if you have carbs somewhere, you feel bloated or something and things like that. But if you go to Italy and you have the carbs and the pasta and the bread, because they don't fuck it up with impurities and preservatives and things like that, you don't actually gain weight. It's really, really good stuff. And it's very similar here with the corn and the tortillas and stuff that I've noticed here in Mexico, because I don't usually digest corn very well. I get a bit bloated. Like, I mean, I can't go and watch a movie without, you know, a big, you know, a large Coke Zero, a nice fountain Coke Zero, and a big box of popcorn. Fucking love it. And I am huffing on that thing, man. I'm inhaling that fucking popcorn. You better believe. But then, yeah, the next day, I'm noticing that I'm bloated. It could be the shitload of sodium that I'm taking in, but it's also the corn, and I understand that. But here, having a few corn tortillas, I think they're all just called tortillas. I haven't really gotten to the details of it. No bloating, feeling quite good. So I think there's something to that natural aspect, you know, things are produced simply here, no GMOs, no pesticides, I presume. Yeah, and I mean, it's like, I mean, Mexican food, it's like kebab style. So they've just got, these taco places have just got big kebab style grills, just cutting off meat, corn tortillas, all these beautiful salsas, different varieties. I forgot that shit's spicy here because my stomach is becoming increasingly white. And so, I mean, when I go to this taco place, they give you like 5 different salsas and a bunch of little limes, and I forgot. So I just, big splat of some chili sauce just to give it a shot, and that was potent. I was like, whew, dear me. But I got to find like the mild stuff. Delicious, but amazing, right? Freshly grilled meat, you know, fresh corn tortillas, bit of salsa, bit of picante, you know, grilled vegetables. Mwah, delicious. But I have to keep an eye on my pale stomach, because yes, like, you know, there's so many ways for my digestion to be completely fucked over here when it comes to the bad water, the indigestion of potentially bad food, the corn thing, and then, yeah, from my stomach not liking spicy food. Like, I like spicy food from the throat up. From the throat down, my body's like, nah, bro, what the fuck are you doing? No good. No es bueno, señor. Nasty. But yeah, Mexico City, so far so good. I'm in the financial district. I'm in a nice part of town. Just walking around, there's beautiful, I like seeing architecture. I'm a big architecture guy. Not that I know what any of it is, but I just like to walk around the streets and see beautiful old buildings. I'm a big fan of a big door. I love a big door. So I've just been walking around the neighborhoods, looking at the beautiful architecture. You know, CDMX as they call it, Mexico City, where I am. Bit of a hipster vibe, a lot of digital nomads, which is not a bad thing, because this could be my vibe for a little bit. There's a little stopover, there's somewhere to station myself while I wait to go to the US. So this is a nice place to suss out. But yeah, I mean, it is, yeah, again, dirty. You got to keep your head on a swivel. But the architecture's amazing, food fantastic, culture is very cool as well. Another fun fact about Mexico, debt-free. Very interesting. So they've actually, the government is actually profitable and is not in major amounts of debt, like pretty much every other developing nation, and especially its neighbors in the US, which I thought was pretty cool, pretty neat. But yeah, today what I've done, what I've done is I looked at the solar eclipse here, which would not have been possible in Melbourne. So here, it's a partial eclipse. I think it was like 75 or 80% eclipse. Wasn't the full thing because it depends on where you are relative to the arc of the sun. But yeah, really cool. My first ever eclipse. They was giving out goggles and stuff to look at it safely, so I wasn't going to do a Donald Trump and just squint into a fucking eclipse like a dipshit. And yeah, that was it's nice to do that, because getting a little bit, I don't think I'm going to become a full-time astro girly, but there is certainly something about the eclipse, about this alignment of the sun and the moon, and the sun being in, I guess, it's astrological or astronomical terms, I forget which one's which, but the astronomy, the sun being the masculine, the unyielding, the sun is direct, energetic, it's, always there. However, the moon is the feminine. It shifts, it's got different moods, it controls the seas. It has different phases, just like women do, right? It has a cycle, just like a woman does. So there is something to be said about this moment of eclipse and this integration of the masculine and the feminine, the sun and the moon. Particularly for me, who is going through this shift. I'm not saying necessarily becoming more feminine, but I would like to do more feminine things as a result of being in business. And there's so many things that just things like I've talked about. Being more creative, doing music, resting more, not being so fucking driven and, driving myself into the goddamn ground all the fucking time, which is what I've done. Gone deep and hard on this project and on the course, which has cost me a little bit again, just physically and a little bit mentally, but nothing that I can't recover from. So again, that's that sun, that's that unyielding, hot sun all the time, constantly burning, as opposed to the feminine that takes time and is not rushed and goes through these cycles. So I think, there's something about that. And there's also something about the transitional shift of the sun and the moon. And myself, this holiday for me, it's a holiday, but also not a holiday. I am doing a little bit of work, trying to go on social media. I've got this workshop in a couple of days, the mastermind in a few days, which I'm really keen for. It does, for me, this trip is a bit of a transition into this full new experience of being a solo entrepreneur and being my own boss and, creating my own business and doing my own thing. Because once I come back from this, it's basically, I launch the course and I start, this project, the fruition and the yield, the harvest will begin for all the work that I've been doing over the last 12 months, which is very exciting. It's very exciting. So yeah, there is something to be said about this eclipse and how it's sort of lined up with my plans and intentions on this trip. I sense this transitional phase and evolution of the self that will come as a result of this time here in Mexico. And I'm looking forward to it, right? I'm leaning into the unknown, jumping into the abyss with a lot of faith. And, every time you do these new levels, man, I've said this before, different levels require different levels of discipline, and things don't get easier. You just get better at, dealing with these things, and you're just making bigger and bigger bets on yourself. So to be, finally pulling the pin and launching something that's original for me and something that's unique and it's different, it does indicate just this new level of evolution and this faith in myself and faith in the universe that this is what I'm meant to be doing, right? So yeah, one of the goals of this time is to just take it slow, have fun, relax a little bit. Don't feel so rushed to do everything all the time. I don't have too many plans booked for the trip, like I've said. And yeah, just, I have to learn remember that this is a marathon again. And that bashing my head against these walls constantly might get shit done, but it's not worth it, man. It's just not worth it in this long run. But yeah, So far, so good in Mexico City. I'm excited for what comes next. And yeah, like it's a nice place to be. It's a nice place to be. I could live here for a little bit. I don't think I could live here for a long period of time, but if I had to stay here for like 3 months or something like that, I could easily do it. All I need is a gym, a quality source of protein, social circle, maybe a nice lady. Yeah, and then besides that, I can just make my own fun, really. Speaking of making my own fun, weed is decriminalized here. I thought I was going to take a bit of a break from my tolerance because I did notice the anxiety was creeping up again. And I have taken a couple of days off, and I am intentional about... so I have got a couple of joints. What they've got here in Mexico, it's decriminalized, but it's not fully legalized. And they haven't really got a process in place for it. But they've got these spots around town which are just like marijuana tolerance zones. And basically, it's not they don't sell marijuana there. What they do is you make a donation of a certain amount of money. And then in return, they give you a gift of a certain strain or a pre-rolled joint. And then you can smoke it in these areas that do have some police presence. But everyone, it's a stoners area. Everyone's just hungry and chill. So I did grab a couple of J's because I thought it would be fun to go to the Lucha Libres and go to the Mexican wrestling baked. I think it'll be pretty fun, and just hang out and just chill the fuck out. As long as I'm intentional with the way I do it, and I'm not going to go overboard because I know that it's bad for my mental health, which is what I want to take care of while I'm here, is just slowly recover, don't do anything wild. I might have a bit of fun on 420, which is my last day in Tulum. Just go to a beach party, see if I can nab a joint from somewhere. I'm not going to travel with this weed. I'm not that stupid to travel with it, even though it's decriminalized. Just keeping the DL. I have a bit of fun, but yeah, I'm not really looking to party or anything like that, because that's the lessons that I've learned from previous trips in this journey of mine, is that I've gone too hard and the anxiety fires up, and then I have these expectations that aren't met, which creates more anxiety. And yeah, it just doesn't help my mental health and how I feel about myself, man. So just letting things come to me. I mean, amazing things happen without me having to try. They just come to me, like these Hawaii situations, right? But still understanding that, marijuana is a part of my life, and although I do need to regulate it, which I do have, and need to take a little bit of a break from it, as long as I am responsible with it, which I am, I can have a bit of lighthearted fun and have experiences here and not get in trouble and not do anything stupid. And life goes on, and everything will be chill, man. Because hey, if I was going to relax and do nothing and hang the fuck out, I'd be probably smoking a J and just sitting by a beach, not doing a lot. Good company, bit of sun, bit of surf. It's good shit, man. It's good shit. What else have I been up to? Oh yeah, so in the lead up between episodes, had a pretty wild week, just so much to do. I had 2 great sessions, 2 interesting sessions that have been leaning into this new identity. So on the Thursday, I had a presentation, a 1-hour presentation with a bunch of Cisco sales apprentices. And what they are is they're undergrads who are doing an apprenticeship, in air quotes, and basically doing a like an internship rotation through Cisco. And they're considering a career in tech sales or in tech, and just wanting to get into the world of Cisco. So these guys are potential future account managers and engineers and things like that, which is my target market. So I got to present to them about what it takes to get to the top 1% in Cisco. If I had my time again, what would I do? And yeah, it was really fun. It's so fun to just present and do things my way. I don't have to worry about what other people think or say. Is this correct? This is just my thoughts, my beliefs, and just being so passionate about what I do and being able to pass that on to the next generation. It's really exciting stuff to be like, oh shit, I've got an audience with the people that I want to serve. This is what I'm putting out there for you guys. And a lot of them have really appreciated it. We've got a lot of followers, not a lot, but a bunch of followers and a lot of great feedback from the session. But no bites on the course, on buying the course itself, which I now understand, because I'm like, why wouldn't they be interested? And the reality is, because they're undergrads and they're not actually employed by Cisco, they're not account managers, they're not in the actual turmoil, they're not in the weeds of what my course can help them with, they don't know how valuable my thing is, right? So a great analogy that I use is that for people that are not selling yet, my course is a vitamin. It's a nice to have, because yeah, you know, you should take your vitamins, but people don't take the vitamins necessarily every day, right? There's the go, yeah, no harm's gonna come with this. It could help. I don't know what it's necessarily helping, but it could be useful nonetheless. But if you are working in tech sales, as an account manager, as an engineer, as a BDM, whatever it is, and you are feeling the pain and the confusion and the, you know, like what the fuck is going on of what, you know, this role can entail, then what I'm offering you is a painkiller, right? It's some relief. Thank God someone knows my problems inherently. Someone can, you know, understands the challenges and is giving me solutions to these problems. So I've got to remember that, is that, you know, my core market is for people that are doing the work, feeling the pain, feeling the pinch, and need the relief. So that was just a nice reminder about that, right? And what I should have done, instead of pitching the course to them, was actually just pitch my newsletter so I could nurture them. That's another thing, is that I'm still learning how to adjust my sales process to this new world of things. And realistically, I can't just go for the close after one workshop with these people. What I need to do is nurture them and develop the relationship, and that takes time, right? I went straight for the close too early, which is a fundamental mistake that I teach in the course, not to go for the close too early. You've got to build the relationship. And yeah, again, I have to sort of take these lessons that I'm teaching from B2B and put them back into the B2C world, because I am transitioning from business to business sales to business to consumer sales. So I've got to go back to that old mindset and dust that off, plus pick up the new lessons of what made me successful in B2B into the B2C world. So yeah, promoting the newsletter, they get tips, they get to know me, they get a little bit of depth in the brand and who I am, and gets an opportunity to build that relationship and nurture them through quality content ongoing. So that was just like a nice little lesson, you know. Doesn't mean I probably will do another session with those guys. Henry, the bloke that organised it from their side, really liked the session. He seems like a really switched on dude, keen to learn and grow. So, you know, great opportunity, and I think I'll probably do some more with those guys as far as coaching and development, or just, you know, like a webinar or a presentation, like skills, insights, etc. Again, just to nurture the customers and get them to drink the Kool-Aid slowly but surely. But a lot of fun, a lot of fun. Really grateful for it. Another thing I did on the Friday, just before I left, was I did my first lecture series with Main Sequence. And Main Sequence is a venture capital fund that's owned by the CSIRO, which is Australia's Science and Technology Department. Fun fact, Wi-Fi was invented by the CSIRO and was, I believe, invented, or a woman was involved in the invention of Wi-Fi. So that's pretty cool. But this lecture series is basically teaching a sales process to these venture fund, to these companies that are being funded by Main Sequence. So they've got about 50 organizations that they've invested in, 50 startups that they've invested in that do deep tech. So with the deep tech, it's not like, you know, routers and laptops and, you know, the normal things we think about tech, you know, devices, cloud, collaboration, blah, 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 networking, etc. These guys are doing cool, like real nerdy shit, like agri-tech, and, you know, they're looking at 5G and 6G and quantum computing and potentially space, right? They're doing some pretty cool shit. And basically the conundrum that these people are in is that a lot of them are early stage founders. They're probably just their own business. They're probably just like me, very early stage founder. It's just them working on an idea, working on a concept, have to learn how to sell, because they usually are very technically focused and probably quite nerdy, and they don't know how to sell and have the people skill that I do, which is, you know, on the other side of that fence. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun, really eye-opening to see the connections that my skill set and my experience can bring to these people, because it's not necessarily the same type of tech, but the principles of what I do and what I teach still very much apply to what they do. And basically what I'm going to do with these five lectures is teach them systems that they can build from becoming, you know, how do they set up themselves up as a founder to start selling? How do they build their funnel of engagement through social selling? How do they hire their first reps? How do they manage the performance of these sales teams, etc.? So taking them from single person salesperson to maybe a small sales team themselves, and how they generate revenue from there. Which is not necessarily in my wheelhouse, but I can provide plenty of insight and help into that, right? Because I can talk about it from multiple angles. I can, you know, I'm keeping an eye on what founders and startup selling looks like, and it's all pretty much the same shit now that I spend more time with it. It's just different flavors of the same ice cream, as I like to say. It's just, you know, slight variations. And the technology is cool, but the process of finding the right people in the business to speak to and creating leverage and finding your technical and financial stakeholder and understanding how you should speak to them and what they're interested in, it's the same stuff, which is pretty interesting. And then one of the great things as well is that through this lecture series, I get a lot of exposure to these organizations, and there's already conversations around potentially me doing some consulting work and speaking to these people one-to-one, seeing what their challenges are. Maybe I help them build their message to market. Maybe I help them develop a go-to-market strategy. So there's potentially some money to be made as a result of these 5 sessions. And I'm getting paid to do this, don't get me wrong. But there could be some good money made on the back end of this lecture series, which would be great. I mean, if I can be responsible and sort of have be a contributor to some, you know, impactful and purposeful and potentially, you know, society-changing technologies, that's fucking cool shit, man. You know, that's what you want to be out there doing, making some real impact in the world, right? So, very exciting times, very exciting times. A lot of fun. Again, a lot of fun putting myself out there, just helping people as much as I can, presenting in my own way, adding my own flavor, telling my story. Yeah, it's really cool. It's really, really cool. It's early days, but it's exciting stuff. So there is, you know, a lot of brightness ahead. A lot of brightness ahead. But I will say, in the last week, again, because, you know, my body is shot and that fucks with my mental state, and I've just had so much work to do and I was stressing, and then I'm rationing out the limited energy I have because my nervous system's a fucking wreck again. It's hard to be abundant and it's hard to be super positive about this stuff. And I can feel the doubts like lingering in. You know, what if this fails? What if this goes wrong? Etc., etc. And then I'll have to be honest with you folks, I'm down to like basically my last 2 months worth of income, and I've got a month here, well not a month, but I'm, you know, away. Most of this month is a bit of a write-off because I'm away for 2 and a bit weeks. So yeah, and then I've also got added expenses by being overseas. So I am starting to get a bit nervous about money. And I will say that it's money, and I've got some wounds around my financial health and my relationship to money that is a bit of a test right now to go, dude, you know, you know how to make money, you know how to create value, like this will be fine. And again, how many fucking examples, how many different beautiful synchronicities in the world, in the universe that have applied to you over the last 12 months do you need to go, the universe is looking out for you, man, chill the fuck out, just keep going, just follow the gut, follow the intuition, and great things will happen. Plus, you know, what's the worst case scenario? Run out of money? All right, you go find a job, or you just hit people up to consult, or you just sell this fucking course like a bad motherfucker that you are, a top salesperson, a 2 times top 1% salesperson, and sell the fuck out of this course, mate. Right? Like, there's so much around me, of so much opportunity based on my skills and capabilities and me walking the fucking talk of what I'm out here trying to do. But man, that's how anxiety gets you. That's how stress gets you. That's how the ego gets you. So I'm facing into all these unknowns, and you know, I've got to manage my mindset through better physical and mental health better. Because yeah, all of those opportunities, those positivities, that abundance that is out there, it fades pretty quickly when you're exhausted and you're tired, and you know, you just need rest and recovery more than anything else. So yeah, man, like, and that's why I am here, but I have to wrestle with the fact, even though, you know, it's a developing nation, everything's very affordable here in Mexico City, I'm still sweating, spending money. And again, it's like, it's still cheaper than Melbourne by and large. So I'm in some way saving money, not really, but again, the day-to-day expenses are cheaper. But that's what I have to fight, is that every time an expense comes up, I'm like, oh God, you know, have I got enough money to do this? And I'm like, dude, this is like 12 bucks. You're paying $17 for a steak, bro. You would be paying 40, 50 bucks for that in Australia. Calm the fuck down, mate. And again, that's the, you know, the wrestling with the self. That's the higher, you know, the higher self, the clarity, the witness behind all of the anxiousness, the emotions, coming to light and going, buddy, you know, the anxious body, the past, the wounds that sit, you know, that will spike up and wake up inside your mind and give you these anxious moments and these nervous moments. That's what I need to fight. There is this internal war of the self, this newer, higher form that's rising through this growth and evolution of the self through a spiritual practice and faith in a higher power that has this groundedness and, you know, the silent witness, and he's going, hey, it'll be all right, mate, right? It's the calming, rational voice versus, you know, the wounded child, the insecure self, right? I've spent many years in insecurity, and that shit doesn't go away so quickly. Yeah, that's the constant battle of self that I'm at right now, is that these new levels, they require me to lean in to the groundedness, the stillness, you know, the higher self, because the anxious self, the egoic self, that doesn't like the unfamiliar and wants to retreat and hide away, and every time I take a new step forward, creates those illusions that I talk so much about of you shouldn't be doing this, or people are going to ridicule you or whatnot. That's the battle, man. That's the battle of the mind that I have, and I'm sure you good listeners have as well. So, you know, that's why I'm here, to try and slow down, take some new experiences in, step into this new identity, this new form of self, and just be bold about it, right? And it's, again, very early days being here, but you know, I think yeah, we'll be catching up in a couple, you know, in the next couple of weeks anyway. I'll keep you posted on how things evolve and change. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to leave it there for this week, because yeah, I want to keep this short and punchy, and I'll just keep you updated. I'm on holidays, right? I'm trying to relax, have a bit of fun. But you know where to find me, techsales.academy, @JamilJaram on all the socials. Again, we'll be here from Mexico City. We'll be with the next episode from Mexico City, potentially, yes, or Chulum, okay, which is also Mexico. But as always, bingers, thank you for your time and attention. Love yous all. See you next week. Ciao for now.